over my head. But radical gratitude when things are not looking so good, when you're having a hard time. And one of the things that I am a big fan of is how you start your day. Do you start your day with gratitude? So did you wake up this morning? Did you go into the bathroom, look in the mirror and go, oh my God, did you get more beautiful overnight? What's the deal? I mean, look at this body. I mean, look at you. Are you fabulous? Did you do that? Or did you go, oh my God, everything's dropping? You know, I have a friend who starts every day in the morning. She just wakes up and she goes, ta-da, I'm still here. I have this one, I went to a church, you know, in the East Coast someplace, and everyone came up to me and said, oh, you've got to meet Margaret. I was like, oh, who's Margaret? Margaret is this person who every single morning, her spiritual practice is she would call up all these people, like 30 people, every morning. She would call up 30 people and sing my songs to them on their phone machine. So they just knew you don't, you know, when you, in the morning, you just don't answer the phone because Margaret's singing, I'm so blessed, thank you for this day, Cindy, thank you for this day. So her idea was just, you know, you start your day with a Karen Drucker song and you'll be okay. And it's true, actually. You know, what I've done with all my albums is I made the very first song always be something you could start your day with. That it would be something that would be positive. So thank you for this day. I am so blessed. I start my day with love. When I start my day with love, that's what I get more of is love. All those kinds of things. And I learned this when I was at a hotel. And they had an alarm clock radio. And the very first thing I heard that started my day that day was Linda Ronstadt singing to me, you're no good, you're no good, you're no good, baby, you're no good. And she goes, I'm gonna say it again, you're no good. So what do you think is in my mind all day? I'm no good, I'm no good, I'm no good. So we have to turn it around and go, I'm so good, you know. But gratitude, when we start our day, when we look at what we're grateful for, it just starts the foundation of our day. So what are you grateful for in this moment? Just think about one thing you're grateful for. And, you know, turn to the person next to you and just tell them one thing you're grateful for right now. Just one thing. So very good. So there's another practice here too that I want to talk about, which is being grateful for things that are not here yet. So grateful for things that are out there, that when you're saying, you know, if you're having a health challenge or a financial problem or whatever, that you're grateful for it now. You know, in spiritual mind treatment in CSL, what we do is one of our main things is that you say, I am grateful now for, you know, something that's way out there, but you're claiming it now. I mean, that's what we do in this philosophy, right? So when you claim it, you get that vibrational match that it's going to come to you. So to be grateful for something that's out in the future. So what do you want to be grateful for next Thanksgiving? Think about that for a minute. A year from now. Something that might not even be here yet. I'm grateful for that right now. But the radical gratitude is what I want to talk about when things aren't going so great. And that you can say, thank you, God, for everything. I have no complaints whatsoever. Can you say that? Thank you, God, for everything. I have no complaints whatsoever. That's a little more challenging, isn't it? You know, and I'm not talking about when things are bad, that you do that spiritual bypass of saying, it's all good. It's just all good. I just want to slap people when they say that to me. We tend to do that in this philosophy, don't we? You know, you're going through a hard time. It's all good. You'll just see the blessings any day. The blessings are going to show up. It's all good. You know, sometimes it's not all good. And to acknowledge that, that say, yeah, right now, it's kind of sucky. But when you do that, when you acknowledge where you're at, when you're present to where you're at, and you can say, right now is really hard, and just to be there, it allows that energy to start to heal and move up to that it's going to be all good eventually. And I'm not talking about when you're in the toilet there, that you're not going to build a condo and have everyone over for appetizers and drinks and stay there for 3 months. I'm talking about you just acknowledge it, and you can move on from that. So, anyone ever get triggered? Or am I the only one? So one of the things I want to talk about today is the idea that gratitude is what can bring us back from being triggered. And when you get triggered, it's a little bit like when you're on your computer and everything's going great, and all of a sudden you go offline and you're going, what's wrong? And you hit you keep hitting the thing, and what's going on? When you get triggered, you spin off. You go into those old patterns. You forget everything that you've learned here, everything that Deanne has said, everything just goes away. But when you can have that moment of gratitude, that in that trigger, that you could say, okay, I know I'm offline. What can bring me back? And bringing yourself back is a constant practice. In meditation, we have this idea that you're going to sit on this little, cushion, and you're going to meditate, and you're just going to be one with God for 3 hours and just have no thoughts come into your mind. I don't know about you, but I can't do that. So what I do, and this is what I've been taught, is that meditation is really the practice of coming back, coming back, coming back. You like that idea? I mean, yes, if you could go there and go into enlightenment and whatever, great. But it's the idea of that the practice is that you come back to the breath. The practice is you come back to that place. I have a song called, I will be gentle with myself. I will be gentle with myself, and I will hold myself like a newborn baby child. And what that song is about is I come back gently. I don't go, you idiot, why did you go off track? And going all that mental stuff, that you just gently come back. Gently come back. And that's what it's really all about. And that's what the practice of gratitude can give us, is that we just focus on a moment, one thing. I think that sometimes we think that gratitude, you have to just live in this state of gratitude all the time. That would be great, but life happens. So my talk today is really about just coming back. And how do you do that? And the practice of gratitude is one of those ways. And really for 2 years, when I lost all my jobs, I had an entire year all booked. Everything was gone. And I freaked out. And I was depressed, and I thought, oh my God, maybe everything's just done for me. But when I started to just relax into it and just go, what am I grateful for in this moment? And quite honestly, I was so grateful for the quiet. Weren't you all? Yes. It was just quiet, and then I started to just connect with friends again on a deeper level. And actually what was amazing to me was I started to do songwriting online, and concerts online, and women's, 6-week women's groups online. I had never done that. One of my friends said this pandemic is going to cure you of your technophobia. And it did, because I had to. But all of a sudden now, I'm meeting women in my women's groups from all over the country that said, Karen, I would have loved to come to one of your women's retreats, but I could never come because of kids or work or whatever. Now all of a sudden they're there with a little button. Boop. One time someone asked me to sing a few songs at their meditation class. And I went, oh yeah, sure, no problem. I'll just log on. Well, I didn't know when I logged on, there were 900 people there in India, is where I was going. And I looked, and it was all of a sudden, it's like 900 people on this call. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll sing my little song. But in India, all of a sudden I was transported to India. So there were things. It did turn out to be, some parts of it were good. But I had to acknowledge first that it was hard, and then start to have moments, and then another moment and another moment of gratitude. So I learned about the real power of gratitude many years ago. I had auditioned for, do you know the club, the Great American Music Hall? Remember that club? I don't know if it's still even there. But I remember I auditioned because they were looking for people to be opening acts for some of the big name people that came through. So I came and auditioned, and they said, oh, great audition, we'll call you in a few days. Now, this was many years ago, and I was like so desperate for money and work and whatever. I literally looked at the phone for 2 days going, ring, ring, and I just kept waiting for the phone call. 2-3 days later, the phone rings, and I'm thrilled. It's them. They're calling me. It's like, oh my God, it's my big break. And I answer the phone, and they go, Karen, we'd love to have you do some stuff for us, but we have one job that when we thought of all the people who auditioned, you were the person we picked. And I'm like, oh, really? Okay. Have you ever been to Macy's? And I went, yeah. Do you play guitar? No, I didn't play guitar, but I went, yeah, I play guitar. What about the 12 Days of Christmas? Do you like the 12 Days? And I'm like, what does this have to do with me being an opening act for these? We have a job for you. Coming out on the floor at Macy's, singing Christmas songs for the 12 Days of Christmas. You're the one that would be the best in this. And you'll be an elf. I'll be an elf for the 12 Days of Christmas, playing my guitar all around Macy's. Yes, isn't that great? You'd be fabulous at this. So I'm now thinking my career is in the toilet. I'm dead. I'm just like, this is so depressing. I hang up the phone and I'm just going, oh my God, this is like horrible. But because I needed the money and I'm, a young singer on the rise, I go out, I do this thing. They fit me in my little elf costume. Do you remember what elves look like, everybody? You have little pointed shoes, with the little things that curl up like that. You have a little green and red with a little beanie. And then I would have to come out. I've learned 3 chords, so I can play a million, Christmas songs with 3 chords. I now go out on the floor the first day. Joy to the world, the Lord. And everyone's going, ah! And they're running the other way. I'm having kids run around and go, ooh, this scares me. I'm having teenagers, walk around just mocking me, going, oh my God, do you know how stupid you look? Are you even aware of how stupid you look? And I'm just dying inside. I'm literally it's like, and you ever have a job where it's like you look at your watch and it's like, it is not even moving. It's like you say, I'm not even gonna look, and then, you go for so long and you go, 10 minutes have gone by. So I did this every day. I was getting more and more depressed. I'm thinking, my career is in the toilet. This is awful. But then, one day, I find this quote from Wayne Dyer. And you've ever had that when you're in that place where you have no idea what you're doing, but all of a sudden you'll see someone, or a book will fall off the shelf, or a bus will pass by with some saying that you're going, oh, this is for me. Wayne Dyer said, without exception, begin every day of your life with gratitude. As you look in the mirror, say, thank you, God. Thank you, God, for my life, for my body, for my family, for my loved ones, for this day. And here's the key, for the opportunity to be in service. That was the line that got me. For the opportunity to be in service, just say thank you, thank you, thank you. And that line stuck with me for some reason. I just kind of went, to be in service. And, I have a song that I love doing sign language. And one of the lines from this song is, I am beautiful, I am powerful, I've let go of my past and celebrate who I've become is just this, boop, in sign language. Who I've become is just that. And that's what transformation can be sometimes. All the work that you did this weekend, that's what transformation can be sometimes. It just goes, like something that you've been carrying for so long, like your issues that you have in a Gucci bag and you take them with you everywhere, and you go to a party and you put them down and go, hi, I'm Karen, here are all my issues, nice to meet you, what are your issues? And you have this whole issue thing that when you get that transformation, when you get that enlightenment, it literally, boop, and in that moment, opportunity to be in service. And he also talked about act as if. If you're not in this place that you want to be, act as if you are. So that morning, I got in my little elf costume with my little shoes, and I remember standing there before I opened up the door with my little guitar and said, I want to be in service today. How can I be that? And I heard this little voice saying, be a love elf. Just be a love elf. I was like, what? Be a love elf. And I walked out on the floor being a love elf. And I was no longer in this little outfit. I was coming from this place of my heart. And I remember I walked out, and the first group I saw were a bunch of women that were at the cosmetics counter, and they were all I could feel that they were getting pissy because there was only one person behind the counter, and they weren't getting served fast enough, and it's Christmas, and we're supposed to be happy, and they're like, Merry Christmas. And I walked up, their backs were to me, and I walked up, and I hit one chord. I said, Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright. And all of a sudden, a few women turned around and said, round young virgin mother and child, and a few more. Holy infant, so tender and mild. And within just about a minute, they all turned around and were singing with me. They were all singing, and their faces changed. And everybody got Christmas in that moment. They got what it was to be connected and to live in gratitude. And my life was changed. And I realized I can do ministry anywhere, even if I'm an elf. So a few more things. Do I have just a few more minutes? So I want to give you just a few little practices, because I'm very much into give you a few things to practice. So one of the first things is being present to your surroundings, being present to what is happening. I mean, right now, just even, when things start to ramp up a little bit and it's a little bit more crowded, like, what you said, Deanne, someone cuts you off on the freeway, you are the face of God. That you just can hold that you can hold that image of everyone being divine beings and be present to it. And one of the things that makes me crazy sometimes about being present is how we're all in our phones and we kind of have this thing going on. And it's allowing ourselves to be open to everybody, to see everybody. I did find this great quote I have to share with you. In the not too distant future, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook will merge to form one giant, idiotic, supersized, time-wasting, non-productive, time-stealing, mind-numbing, do-not-need-to-know website called You Twit Face. So the next time someone's doing this, just go, hello, I'm here, look at me, look at me. But it's also, sometimes it's even just acknowledging the people that are the closest to you. We can sometimes say, okay, I'm going to be a love elf in the world, and I'm going to show it to everybody else, but do we do it to the people around us? Do we allow ourselves to just give gratitude and thanksgiving for them in our lives? And I have one little story. I have these friends that are older, and they're very Jewish. And one of my favorite stories, so every morning, Jerry would get up, he'd make his bagel, and he'd do the sesame seed bagel with all the crumbs, all the little sesame seeds all over the counter. And then he would, go away and eat his bagel. Well, Diane would come in the morning to get her coffee. And so she'd come in, and every morning, there's all these bagel seeds all over the place. And every morning she'd go, Jerry, could you just sweep up the bagel seeds? It's not that much to ask, it's just so I can have my coffee and it's not so dirty. And every morning he'd say, yes, honey, I will. And the next day she would start her day going, Jerry, can you? And she would just be pissy every morning. But one day, and this is one of those, one morning she gets up and she's just about to just go, again. And she looks down and she realizes that those bagel crumbs are here. All those seeds are here. because he's still here. She said she realized that one day he's not going to be here. You know, he had some health problems and they had made it through it, but she all of a sudden got it in that moment that one day there will be no bagel seeds. And she started to bless them every morning. Instead of starting her day that way, she blessed the bagel seeds. And that's what we have to do with each other, even the things that get us a little pissy with our partners or whatever, or people in our lives, to allow ourselves to just have that moment and be grateful for them. And then there's also one last thing I want to leave you with too, is the idea of just being aware of people around you. So I found this story that I just love. To the man in line behind me at the Gainesville Target, who saw that after hitting my grocery budget limit, I decided to put back my favorite pumpkin spice candle and the makeup I had picked out. You didn't know that I always save my stuff for last, and I usually wind up putting it all back. You didn't know that the 2 fussy kids I had with me were only 2 out of 4. You didn't know that I have postpartum depression and that I use that scent from that little candle as a way to boost my mood. You didn't know that this week had been full of sick kids and parent-teacher conferences and emergency dental visits. And I was so looking to just lighting that candle and having my minute to relax. Even without knowing that, you saw me. You saw me as a human, not just the mom in front of you who was too distracted and going way too slow. You heard me say that I'd like to put those items back, and you said, "Oh, no, ma'am, you're getting them. It's on me." You didn't take no for an answer. You told me I deserved it. And when I started to tear up, you said that again. You deserve this. You, sir, are the good in the world. You made my day, probably my week, and I will pay this forward. Thank you so much. I am so grateful. I love this. Gratitude is like a flashlight. As you shine it on, when you shine it on what's right in your life, you experience more satisfaction, more connection, and fulfillment. All you have to do to experience its effects is turn it on. So I invite you this week, to turn it on, to turn on the gratitude. Actually, don't just do it this week. Just keep doing it. Make it a practice. Make it like lifting weights, that you just, when you first start lifting weights, you kind of shake if you do something really big, but then you just pick up you do it over and over, and then you pick up the next size, next thing, and it gets easier and easier. So the more you can practice gratitude and open up to it, you'll have more of it. So can I give you homework? Yeah. Do one thing for yourself this week. One thing, just giving yourself gratitude for something that you've done. Take that moment to acknowledge yourself. I have a friend who has this thing that she's been doing. It's the compassionate mirror ritual. I'm sure you've heard of this before. Every night, she says, "Noreen, I acknowledge you for being kind to that person in the Gainesville Target. Noreen, I acknowledge you for..." She does that every night. She's been doing it for 10 years now, every single night. Can you imagine what it would be like if you acknowledge yourself like that every day? Then acknowledge somebody else. Give thanks for someone else. It could be someone in this room. It could be calling someone this week saying, "I just want to let you know how much you mean to me." And then the last one is what you did here this weekend. Acknowledge your community. Give thanks, whatever that means. Even if it's just a prayer or it's a commitment that you're going to step up at this church and do more, volunteer, whatever. But it comes down to this, that you allow yourself to just know that you're blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful, yes. I am so blessed. Sing with me now. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I'm so grateful. I am so grateful for all that I have. So blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. Yes. I am so blessed. Just that last line. I am so grateful. Yes. I am so blessed. One more time. I am so grateful. Take a deep breath. I am so blessed. I'm blessed for you to listen to me today. Thank you all so much. Thank you.